Alright, so let's go ahead and create a custom pad layout for the 555 timer. Let's go ahead and make the SOIC 8. So go to Pattern Editor, and it'll open itself up. And so there's just a few options here. So if you want to actually make pads, you can go ahead and this is the pad option, and you actually draw individual pads. So what I did was I actually made the surface mount pads. Let me just delete this. So right click, delete. You can also hit right click here. Actually, you can actually right click this right here, and then go to Properties. And if you want, you can change the dimension. So go to Patterns, Pad Properties. You can change it to the through-hole version, and you can also change the sizes accordingly. So if I just hit OK right here and hit OK, you can actually see now I have a through-hole version of it. Again, I can go back to Properties. If I want to change the dimensions, I can. You can also change the shape as well. So I can change this into an oval if I need to. I can do this, make it so that it's this is 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter, and make this the whole size 0.25 millimeters, which will be okay. I'm going to hit OK now, and you can go ahead and make a through-hole version of it if you want to. So let me just go ahead and go back to Properties and just change the surface mount, because we're going to be making the SOIC 8 version of this. So this is going to require making the surface mount version, and it's going to require the rectangle. Oh, another thing as well is you can also do Polygon. So Polygon, you can actually create custom shapes with this. All you have to do is you can either set the size. You can either use the regular version and go ahead and just make it a hexagon if you want to. Make it a pentagon. It'll give you general sizes, and it'll also give you the radius if you need to. Otherwise, if you want to make something a little more jagged and a bit more crazy, you can go ahead and do set points, and then you can also increment all these little grid points accordingly, and you can custom create that shape as well. But we're not going to be doing that, and this is something that you'll just need to play around with to actually get it all right. So we're just go ahead and hit cancel, and go ahead and go back to rectangle. Okay, so let's go ahead and figure out what dimensions our pad sizes should be. So let me go ahead and scroll down here. So as you can see, it gives you dimensions of this. So it's 0.65, and let's double check to see if this is in millimeters or mils. All dimensions are in millimeters. Okay, so this is 0.175 and 0.65. So we're going to go ahead and type that up. So if I go here and change the width to 1.75 and 0.65. That should be it. Hit OK, and that should be the proper size for one of these pads. Another thing to keep in mind is you actually want to keep all this stuff centered over here, because it's based off the grid location. So centering it over here pretty much makes it so that everything is located in the center right here. And it helps to ensure that if you click it on your PCB, it's actually not going to be strafed off of it. Again, as always, just like as it was in the component editor, you can also just create pad lines if you need to. So you can go ahead and click and just drag and drop like that if you need to, as well. They can also, if you want, you can also make the quad versions. So you can do that as well. You can also make the circular versions if you need to. We're going to go ahead and just actually do that for this case. So we're going to go ahead and delete, because this is the fastest way to do it. And this is very, very nitpicky, because you actually need to get the dimensions right. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that. So I'm going to go ahead and click and just scroll down right here. It's in a different angle, but it doesn't really matter. We can fix that later. And I want to go ahead and make it so that my grid size is a bit smaller than that. I'm going to go ahead and make it like this instead. So I have less step sizes that I can set it to. And then we're going to go ahead and just make one line of this. So I'm going to make 4 on one side and 4 on the other side. Don't worry about where it's positioned. We can go to fix that later. All right, so with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and right-click this, go to Properties, then go to Pad Properties. The reason why it's shaped that way is that the width and the height are reversed, so go ahead and just reverse them. So 0.65 and 1.75, and that should fix it up. And this changes all of them, in fact. So go ahead and hit OK, and hit OK. And as you can see, it all fixed itself up. Then what you want to do now is actually want to change the individual property of this and actually locate it accordingly. So again, this is based off the coordinate grid system. So this is the x direction, this is the y direction, this is a negative x, this is a positive y, this is negative y, this is positive x. And you can go ahead and map itself accordingly. And the way that it positions itself, it's based off the center of the pad. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So be cautious about. So let's go ahead and go to these properties as well. You can see right here that the distance from here to here is 0.58 or 0.62. So the average between that is roughly 0.6. And as you know, right here it's 1.75. So this is going to require the use of a calculator. So let's go ahead and grab a calculator out. So you want to actually position itself accordingly from the center. Actually, no, right here. Oh, great. They actually gave us the center location, so it's 5.6. So we can actually map each one to be half that because, again, it's on the coordinate grid, so each one is going to be plus or minus that distance. So 5.6 and divided by 2, that'll equal 2.8. So let's go ahead and make it so that it's 2.8 plus or minus 2.8 going out from either one of two directions. So let's go ahead and go back to the pattern editor, hit right click, go to properties, and then instead of use, here we go, number position, go ahead and change this to 2.8, negative 2.8. Hit OK, and you're going to have to do that for each of these. 0.8, hit OK. All right, so that should close them all up. And then what you want to do now is you want to make it so that the distance from here to here is narrowed. So again, go to right click, go to properties. You can do this a lot faster if you just go to pattern pad properties. Okay, apparently not. I recall that in the older versions there was an option where you can actually set the distance between two of these things, but apparently that's not the case. So we're going to go ahead and just ignore that. And in fact, we're going to have to do this manually instead. Yeah, there was an option in the old version that you could actually do that, but apparently it's not here anymore. Or actually, no, maybe it's in additional fields. Nope, pad properties. No, not there anymore. Yeah, there used to be an option that you could do that, and I guess unfortunately in the new edition they decided to remove it. That's a little bit unfortunate. So we're going to go ahead and actually we have to individually map each one accordingly based off its actual location here. So you can see that distance from the center over here and the center over here is 3.81. So that means that the topmost position is going to be half of that. So we're going to go ahead and clear that. 3.81 divided by 2. So the topmost is going to be 1.905 and the lowest one is going to be negative 1.905. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So go ahead and hit right click, hit properties. This should be 1.905. Hit OK. And this one should be 1.905 as well, negative 1.905. It should be 1.905. And then to move these, let's just go ahead and just move them down just for convenience. So let's just adjust them down accordingly. So we just have some, so we can actually just see all the pads. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and figure out what the spacing should be in between each of these. So again, we're going to go ahead and go back over here and check the dimensions. The spacing in between is 1.27. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is go ahead and figure out the mapping between this. So we know that this is 1.905, so we need to subtract 1.905 from 1.27. So 1.905 minus 1.27. The position should be 0.635. So let's go ahead and do that. So right over here, go ahead and change the property. So this is 0.635. Enter. Then therefore this one should be negative 6.3.5. And actually, see, I actually mapped it perfectly even without doing anything. Check the properties here. Nah, that's good as well. And let's check over here, properties. So this one should be 6.35. 0.635, my bad. All right, so we actually now have the correct pad layout. And all we have to do now is add silkscreen so we can actually keep this all organized. What people tend to do to actually locate pin 1 is you can go ahead and actually just draw a circle. You can draw it right here. And make sure that it's set to top silk, because that means it's going to be on the top silk screen. So that you can do that one way, and if you want, you can also draw a polygon. So you can go ahead and go here, and draw this way, and then draw this way, and then draw like this. And that goes ahead and actually draws a fully colored one. If you want to go ahead and make a hollow one, you can go ahead and select here if you want. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you how to do that. So let me just delete this one. And go over here and just delete. There you go. Then we're going to go ahead and just draw a rectangle right here. And then that should be it. If you want to go ahead and add like maybe a curve or something like that, you can go ahead and just do that right here. something like that. And again, like you can just go ahead and play around with this. If you don't want to draw a rectangle first, you can actually just draw a variety of different lines. So you can go ahead, if you want, you can go ahead and just do it like this if you need to. Whoops. So I'm going to go ahead and just check that layer right there. So this layer, I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And I'm going to go ahead and delete this one right here as well. So you can actually draw it line by line if you want to. So that's what I'm doing over here. That'll be close enough just for the sake of this demonstration. And I'll just have another one right there, another one right there, and then if you want to make the little curve right here, you can just go ahead and do that right here. So that you can also do that as well if you need to. But that's pretty much it in this case. Again, just know all the options. You can always make a faster route if you just do it like this. It's always just another idea you can also do. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so all you have to do now is let me just go ahead and just delete all these parts right here. So let me just delete all that. Okay, and then you want to just go ahead and save this. We're just going to call this 555 timer layout. Hit OK. We want to go ahead and just name this something. So I'm just going to call this SYC-8. Again, you can also do a reference description. I can call it U, value datasheet if you want to go ahead and input that as well. And that should be it. Let me just go ahead and save one more time. Okay, so once you have this pad layout, what you can also do is you can also create a 3D model for this. So go to 3D model over here and go ahead and find all models. So this is the all models from the Diptrace library, but you can actually custom create your own using some sort of CAD software. You just have to make sure that you output into a .wrl file. So in our case, because we know this is an SOIC8, I can go ahead and just click over here SOIC8, and it maps it accordingly. Another thing you keep in mind is that maybe sometimes when you import it in, it's not going to be the right dimension. What you can actually do is just go ahead and change the angle up here. So I change the angle to 0. That'll set itself like that. Go to 90. That's when it actually resets itself in the correct direction as well. So with that in mind, go ahead and hit OK right here, and that should have it saved. So go ahead and back to the 3D model just to double check, and yeah. So now this part now has a 3D model to go with it. Okay, so before we actually attach all this together, you want to make sure that these pin numbers actually match up. So it should go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So go ahead and go to right click and go ahead and just change the names for this. So just double check if the number is correct. As you can see, this is number 8. So I'm going to go ahead and make this 5. Hit OK. Let me go ahead and just double check this as well. This should be 6. Double check this as well. This should be 7. And then this should be 8. Okay, so it's 5, so change to 8. And let me just double check these other pins as well. So this should be 4. This should be 3. This should be 2. And this should be 1. Okay. Right, everything seems to be good to go. So let's go ahead and just save this. And then if you want to go ahead and just attach this to whatever component you want, go ahead and go to the component of interest, go to pattern, and what you want to do now is you want to import your library. So go ahead and go to library setup, then go to add library, and go ahead and add this over here. So hit open. Okay, so it's it's added it to other libraries. So hit OK now. Okay, so just ignore this. And then go to the other folder, go to the folder other libraries. You should be able to locate it now. As you can see, here's our SOIC8 that we just created, and just double check to see if all the pins match up. And yeah, all the pins match up, so it's pretty good. All right, and so that's how you make a custom part. Again, there's a few more options you can play around with, but that's pretty much how you do it, generally speaking. For some really crazy parts, it's going to be a matter of you to actually figure out how it all should be laid out. And that's pretty much it for the components. Have fun with this.